Hi, everybody. Welcome to
Hi.
today's very, very exciting special Tea and Toast because we are back online, but only half. Because Jasmine is at the yard right now and she's just waiting for people to pop in through the door. So if
Yeah.
anyone comes, she's going to have to go. So make the
I'm
most
not I'm
out of
not just
Jasmine being here.
I'm not just fed up with your chat. If someone walks through the door, I've got to do one and go and put the kettle on. So, don't take offense. It's nothing to do with the conversation.
Okay, I'll hold you to that. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and we're also joined by Steve.
Hello.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, everyone.
So I thought we would start off by doing a bit of internal weather because I know how much everyone loves that.
Sounds good.
So how about you start, Jasmine?
Go on then. Okay, so my internal weather's pretty good today. I'd say there's some sunshine there. There's perhaps a few little clouds, but it is mostly sunshiny. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling buzzing. I'm feeling like this is going to be a good week. I'm good.
Excellent. That's a great start to the week when you just feel like
Yeah.
you can tackle anything. You're
Yeah.
invincible. How about you, Steve?
I would say overcast with a spot of showers.
Mr. Gloomy.
Oh,
Well, your background doesn't look overcast. It looks quite glorious there.
yeah. At least the weather outside's really nice. It's very
Well, you say that. I'm just looking out the windows here at the yard, and it's just getting darker and darker and darker.
Oh no.
But I think it is going to absolutely chuck it down in a minute. But it was nice when I came into work this morning. It was lovely.
Oh, it's really nice where I am. It's
it?
lovely sunshiny. Yeah, just to rub it in. It's like really nice.
All right for some.
I live about 20 minutes away from like Northampton town centre. And even though like my mum always, I think we've talked about this before, haven't we? How like when I talk to my mum, she'll be like, "Oh, how's the weather where you are?" And I'm like, "I live 20 minutes away, mum. It's not a different country."
No, but you know what? Saying that, at the weekend, on Sunday, it said it was going to rain all day, didn't it? But then
Yeah.
it was like real bursts of sunshine and then showers. And I was talking to my next door neighbour, and her husband was playing golf, like in Northampton, not very far away. And it was sunshine outside our houses, and her husband sent her a video of the golf course he was on, absolutely torrential rain, and he was only about somewhere within Northampton still. It's
What?
crazy. Yeah, I know. Crazy. Crazy
Oh, good
weather.
morning, Ronzo.
Hi, Ronzo.
Morning, mate.
Long time no speak. How are you?
We're doing very well, thank you. Well, I think Steve's a bit overcast, but apart
She's
from
gloomy.
that, yeah. But we're both sunshiny, I think, me and Jasmine, at the moment.
Feeling good.
How are you, Ronzo? Let us know how you're doing, mate.
Yeah. What's the weather like in India today? Tell us. I'll be interested to hear. Oh, he's having a great sunny day.
Yeah, so you already probably just was like, yeah, I'm going to tell them about the weather because Jasmine always asks, don't you, about the weather in India.
I'd love to know what the weather is.
So speaking of weather and the summertime and all of that jazz, how do you guys feel about the sort of announcement about lockdown rules being like lifted or eased?
Yeah. I'm okay with it. I'm feeling positive. I think I know I've heard a lot of people saying they feel a bit worried because with the cases on the increase, is it the right time for us to be, coming out of lockdown and actually everyone's sort of going wild again? But I do feel pretty confident in the vaccination process, and there's so many more people vaccinated now, and I do feel like we have to get to a point where we live with this virus. People want to go on holiday, people want their freedoms, and I did watch the press conference with old Boris last night, and actually the slides that Chris Whitty and the other guy were showing, there's such a small increment in deaths and hospital cases that it makes me feel confident that actually we can start to, I mean, I think everyone's got to be sensible still. I will still be wearing my mask in busy places, i.e. shopping, things like that. I do think it's for all of us to use our common sense. But I'm feeling pretty positive about it all, to be honest.
How are you feeling about it, Steve?
Bit different to Jasmine. I think that the situation is worse now than it was a month ago. Why did they extend it for a month if it's now worse and they're opening it up now? Doesn't make any sense. Like, it just seems like they want to do herd immunity through the back door. And yeah, there might not be as many deaths at the moment, but the way that COVID and viruses work is they can mutate. So if this virus mutates, and the more people that are infected, the higher chance that it mutates. So if they're just going to let it run through the country, which is their plan, and it was what they said originally in March 2020 when the virus first came out, but if they just let it go through the country, that increases the chance that the virus will mutate. And if it mutates into a more dangerous form, or a form that makes the vaccines useless, then, well, all the sacrifices and all those deaths have been for nothing, because we're back effectively to square one. And the thing that worries me is, I was reading, it was from Sage, and they were saying that not to open up like we are, because if there are a high number of cases, if the virus does mutate, they won't know in time, because say the virus mutates and it becomes more deadly, or it becomes more infectious or whatever, and stops working against the vaccines, they won't be able to see it in the data as easily, because the data is going to be so high in cases that if there is a spike, they won't be able to identify it properly, because the virus is everywhere already. And so they won't be able to localize it and slow it down before it's too late, before it's too dangerous. So that's why the scientists are saying to Boris Johnson, don't do this. Right. So this isn't being driven by science. This is being driven by, I don't know, whatever drives the Tory party. Yeah. So I can see why people are fed up with these rules and stuff, but fair enough. But it's like, well, we've come this far, and it's like we're at the last hurdle, and it can all unravel so fast. If you look how fast the infections are going up, it's so high. And I'd say only, I don't know, 10% of the people that would have normally died without the vaccine died this time. Or even 1%. That's still people's family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Boris said last night in his speech, he says he expects by the 19th of July, which is apparently going to be Freedom Day, there to be around 50,000 new cases of COVID a day. That's a high number. And although I've just sort of said I'm feeling positive about it all, I completely hear what you're saying, Steve. And I read something last night which concerned me a little bit, which said, and it was more on the science-based side of things, and it says there's a possibility that this virus could mutate to something which a vaccine would not work against.
That's what worries me.
Now, that's a worry, and that's the first time I've ever heard that. And when I read that last night, I thought, oh, that's a bit concerning, that if it mutated to something that could never be controlled by a vaccine, then where do we stand? Then everything changes drastically. I think the problem is, to be honest, I just think Boris doesn't want to be the one to say, right, we've got to do this for another month. It's more about his popularity. It's more about how people are going to view him, as opposed to following what the scientists say. And I think therein lies a massive problem with our government.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, because obviously you two guys have kind of like different opinions, but like for different reasons as well. So I think what's interesting is that, like, say for me, for instance, I'm not really like scientifically minded, in the sense that I don't know about a lot of this stuff. Like, my dad will try and explain it to me, and I'll be like, yeah, just smile and wave, boys. I have absolutely no idea what he's on about.
Just nod your head. Yeah.
Just nod my head. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that Delta variant.
I do that when Bianca talks to me. Just nod my head.
Just in general. But yeah, so I think it's it's like crazy to me that you have like people who kind of they understand like the science of it, and so they're like, look guys, if we're not careful, this could actually sort of blow up in our faces and become 10 times worse than what we have now. And then on the other side of it, you've got people who maybe don't read up on this kind of stuff and they're just thinking about, say, the economy or like businesses and things like that, and they're thinking, well, if we carry on the way that we are, it's going to end up crippling businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the government have said now, which is the kind of thing, you're on your own basically. So if you get COVID and you have to stay at home, you're just going to be on sick pay. You're not getting the support that you need, and there's going to be no support for businesses that are going to, because if say there's a COVID outbreak in a business, that business is going to have to shut down. Willingly, they're going to have to take it on themselves, and they're going to have no support. So it's like,
but then do you think that
they basically just said, it's up to you now, guys, good luck. And there's one thing.
Oh, sorry, go on.
One thing that is important as well when we talk about this is there is a section of the population who can't have the vaccine because their immune system is compromised. They have problems, and pregnant women as well. It's not advised for them to have it. Yeah. So that if the vaccine's everywhere and people with the vaccine can spread the virus.
Yeah.
So if the virus is everywhere, what about these people?
Yeah.
They're going to have to take it on their own to shield, but they can't afford to do that, essentially.
Yeah.
So
and there's kids as well.
It's basically just saying to them, well, it doesn't matter if you die.
Yeah,
definitely. And I think that's half the reason, like Boris is now like saying, basically what he said last night is it's up to you now to make your own judgment, how we live with this. You make the call, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, go to a concert, but do you think they're then now trying to put it on us because A, they want to stop all the support that they're providing, the furloughs are stopping, all of that malarkey. B, they want to get herd immunity. So they are really now just throwing it upon us, the public. And that was a really good point, Steve. Yeah, what happens now for example, this is at the moment, obviously I've got 2 kids, and at the minute, the schools are rife with COVID. Now, what happens if a parent has 2 children in a school? This happened to one of my friends. Both classes, both bubbles have got to be closed because someone's tested positive for COVID. So then they're at home. Then the parent can't. Well, then the parent can't work. Yeah. Then they're losing out on money. Then what if? I mean, my point is those 10 days isolation can potentially go on and on and on, because if then the mum caught it, or there's so many different aspects of concern here. And literally the government are just saying, right, get on with it now. You sort it out yourselves. And financially, this could really cripple people.
It's just a complete lack of empathy, I feel, and they just really don't care. And I think now, for a lot of people, and it's kind of like I was saying about the whole, like, if you read up on things that are like scientific, then you're gonna think of these things in a certain way. But obviously, if they're saying, oh well, now everyone has to then become that minded, so like go and do your own research, or go and do your, like, if you don't understand, then you're just gonna be like, okay, well, you've said that I can go live my life as normal, so I will, and then that could end up with that person getting really sick.
Well, sorry,
go on, Steve. Sorry,
there are things that can make it a bit easier, like obviously the wearing of masks, but I think there's been too much focus on the masks, essentially, because a lot of people have been angry about wearing them, and it's very visual. Well, I don't really get that, but there's been a high focus on the mask. But the real problem has been, and it's been from the very beginning, is we have never had a proper track, trace, and isolate system that's worked. And we've spent nearly like 30-odd billion. We could have done
what we could have done with that money.
15 to 20 missions to Mars with that money.
Yeah.
So it's like that amount of money, and it doesn't work. And if that did work, I feel like if we had an effective system, then they could isolate these cases and provide support to these people. But it's not their intention. It's always just been wrong, basically, in my opinion.
I think the government.
Sorry, go on, Georgia.
I was just going to say, it's just like basically the government funneling money to their rich mates to
Yes.
build a system that doesn't work. And so they're sitting there going, oh, like, can you imagine someone sitting there? They're making like a few thousand a day. And then just like,
it's not a few thousand a day, it's a lot more.
No,
and
I mean, yeah, just like one person, like, and then another person, and they're just sitting there not really doing anything.
And they can't admit it's wrong. They can't admit that they messed up. So they have to keep continuing the lie, and it's not in the benefit of the people. It's in the benefit of them and their friends.
Did you see? This was like last year, but there was this sort of expose type article thing about this person who worked for one of these sort of companies that were doing the track and trace on the phones or something. And they did this article where they basically said that they just sat around and did nothing for days at a time. And
really?
There was a point, that one of them even said to their manager, like, should we be doing something? And they were like, no.
God.
But you think with that amount of money, you could probably have employed someone to like knock on everyone's door, test every single person in the country. It's a ridiculous amount of money. Honestly, it's so much money. It's who knows where it's gone, but it's definitely a scandal. Whatever happened to that money is corruption.
Oh yeah,
no, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. I think another thing, what I was just going to say, slightly moving away from the money side of things, is we're talking about, are we happy with everything opening up on the 19th? Now, I don't know about you guys, but the way we're living at the minute, I could have easily done like how we are right now for another couple of months. We can do stuff. Okay, we're restricted on numbers indoors. That doesn't bother me. But we can go to the pub. Yeah, we have to sit at a table. We can't have bar service. Who cares? That's fine by me. You can go to the cinema. You have to wear a mask. There are things that we can do. I don't feel we're living as restricted at the moment as we have obviously been before. So if necessary, we could have done this for another couple of months if that meant it would have been more worthwhile getting more people with their double vaccine. It does seem strange that we're at a point where it's more relaxed than it really ever has been since this all started, and now it's the rush to let's get thousands of people in a nightclub. I love the theatre, and I'm really, really sad about how this has affected them. And obviously they fall within. I know they can open on the 19th, and I want them to. But again, it's bringing big numbers of people indoors, isn't it? So I guess that's another thing to think. I mean, everyone that I've sort of spoke to could quite happily have carried on as we are. We have got a little bit of what we're allowed to do, enough to get us through for the bigger picture at the end of it, for get over that last hurdle, like you said, Steve, you know?
The thing is, though, it's like the way they marketed it as like Freedom Day and you know, the whole thing about like, yes, it's going to be great and everything. So it's going to, he boxed himself in there a little bit because he's not managed the expectations of the general public, even setting a date on it. If it had just been like, okay, when the cases are X, then we will open up again. Or if he had like numbers related to the data of the virus and how it was spreading or the vaccine even, and that was public knowledge, because I don't know if they do have that behind closed doors, but if he just said to people like, okay, there's no specific date for when we open up, fully, but we will open up when X, Y, and Z have been met. And that way it won't be like, oh yeah, we need to get to June or whatever, and then it won't be, okay, well, we're delaying it a month now. And then you know, people were expecting to open up in June and then they're not, and now they're expecting to open up now, and then if he did delay, that would anger all those people or upset them or whatever. So it's like, I think there will be trouble. Whatever they pick, there'll be trouble. But it has to be essentially driven by what is good for the health of the people of the country. And if the virus can get out of control again, then that just means we're going to have a lockdown at Christmas or something, doesn't it? Or September or November, because it'll get so out of control, which is what's happened pretty much every time. Is we've locked down. We've struggled for months and we've sacrificed for months. Never mind Matt Hancock going and bloody breaking all the rules with his bloody secretary or whatever. Or Cummins going to Barnard Castle to check his eyes, or all
Yeah.
the world leaders getting together for barbecues and stuff.
Yeah,
We've
shaking hands.
we've struggled for months. Then we've opened up too quickly. Then the virus has got out of control, and then we've gone back to a lockdown where it's like, surely it would have just been better to have a hard lockdown for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Test the whole country, get a test trace system in place, isolate all the people that come into the country and quarantine them, test them, let them join the general population once they are certified COVID free.
Yeah.
We're a small island. We could have controlled this in a much better
Completely.
way, which was driven by keeping people safe. And if you look at countries that did do something similar, their economies are fully open. They're booming. Like Jasmine, your cousin who lives in New Zealand, he goes to music concerts. He's living with freedom. His Freedom Day was like last bloody September or something.
Yeah.
And it just seems like we're going round and roundabout here.
Absolutely,
and struggling all the time.
New Zealand have got someone much better leading them in this, haven't they? You know, she closed the borders, still can't go in. You know, it's completely different person leading. She's doing what we should have done.
I feel like the Boris has basically tried to market this in some kind of weird, like, patriotic, like, you know, like trying to, I don't know, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you know, like after the war, and then you had like the big parties and stuff on the streets because then we had freedom and we were safe and we won and victorious. And I felt that's kind of what he's trying to market it as.
It's a really good point, Georgia, because even with the vaccine rollout and everything, what they've done this whole time is play politics with this pandemic, and they've tried to spin it in ways that's beneficial to them and the government and his personal ratings. Basically, it's being driven by his ego and his own vanity and narcissism rather than public health. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous for all of us. We're the ones who pay the price. The 150,000 people that are supposedly died from this, they're the ones that are sacrificed at the altar of Boris Johnson's ego, essentially.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah,
bonkers.
If anyone's watching this and you have a different opinion, or you want to like throw a spanner in the works, then feel free, put your comments in there, and we'll read them out, because it is interesting, isn't it, to get everyone's different opinions and where everyone's coming from, whether it's coming from the side of just wanting to hug people again, or if it's coming from wanting to protect those people and you don't want to hug them because you want to protect them. What I was going to say was that I think a lot of the sort of precautions that we have now, we should just keep permanently. Like, you know, table service, where you got like the QR code and then you just, that's great for me. I don't have to talk to anyone. I can just like order a drink, nice little, you know, gin and lemonade, and it just pops, bing, it's just there. And then
like magic.
I just find them annoying because it takes me ages. Right, what do I want to drink? What do I want to drink? And I just want a glass of wine. Where's the wine? Where's the wine? Honestly, and if there's a lot of you, it's like, oh, I hear what you're saying, but sometimes I find that annoying. I just want a physical person to speak to. This is what I want. Write it down, please, and let me have it. But yeah,
it's good for people with anxiety, without a doubt. And I think like wearing masks on public transport and stuff, well, I don't think it should be a law or whatever forever. I think personally, if I go on the tube or something in the future, I'm going to wear a mask just because I don't want to be like sharing and breathing in all the germs. I think if I get a cold or a flu and I have to go to the shop or something, I'll probably wear a mask just because it's kind of courteous, I guess. Like if you're stopping your germs from spreading to other people, and I think
it's thinking about the people around you, isn't it?
Just being more health conscious, because like they had to teach us how to wash our hands at the beginning of this. Like, what were people doing before?
Crazy. I think it's going to be really interesting to say that, you know, because obviously he hasn't fully committed to the 19th yet. He's making that decision on the 12th. But say that it all goes ahead on the 19th. I'm going to find it really interesting to see how many people just stop mask wearing completely in the supermarkets, on public transport, because I've seen a few sort of polls done on different like TV shows and that, and it really is a bit of a 50-50 split from what I've seen. 50 people, you know, like, that's it, I'm done wearing masks, and the others are like, oh, you know, I think I still will. It's definitely the mask wearing, which at the very beginning was something I hated, absolutely hated. I felt like such an idiot, but which has now become second nature. We all do it. You don't feel abnormal wearing one. But it really does make you realise how germs are spread so much. Like, in that lockdown last summer, you know, the March, whatever it was, we started and everyone was mask wearing, and, you know, the colds had dropped, the sickness bugs in the school had dropped, you know, just wearing those masks. And it really does make you look at, you know, perhaps how I haven't ever looked at before, at how much we do spread different germs. And, you know, I definitely will, like I said, be still wearing one in a supermarket and public transport and things like that, because it's just made me more aware of how things can be spread so quickly.
Well,
and this is what... Sorry, Steve.
I was going to say, like, when me and Bianca were in Jersey, a couple, like, last month, we were there when they changed the law, changed whatever it was, so you were allowed to wear, but didn't have to wear masks anymore. Yeah. So the majority of people didn't wear masks anymore, but there were still people that wore masks, and people who were working at the shop still wore masks. So I think there will be part of the population that will always now wear masks, but I think the majority of people won't wear them, especially if it gets really hot and stuffy.
Yeah. I saw a interview on telly the other night with a lady who, a bit elderly lady who works in a pub, and she was saying about, like, she's really nervous now if people stop wearing masks, because she felt protected by herself wearing a mask and people around, you know. She said that it really concerns her now that people are going to be able to come up to the bar without a mask on. And so I think there's going to be quite, for people in those sort of roles, some anxieties and some concerns and worries going on for them with the fact that people can make their own choice in wearing them.
Yeah.
Well, it's like seatbelts and stuff, and, you know, are we going to say now that's a personal choice, or like drink driving? Should that be just down to your responsibility now? And just, I mean, where public health and matters of deaths are concerned, surely it's the role of government to try and mitigate that the best they can.
Yeah, definitely. And I was going to say that I think this is basically what happened in, I think, China, where they had, like, the outbreak, didn't they, of, like, the virus. I think, was it SARS? Back, like, 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And then they started wearing, like, masks. And now, like, ever since then, like, people still wear masks in public and on public transport. So I was wondering if you guys thought that maybe that's kind of what we'll start to do. Like, it'll start to become quite a normal thing of, like, when you're in a public, tight, confined space, that you would opt to wear, like, a face mask.
I don't think it will, because we're quite selfish as
I think
people.
It will.
What you can say,
it wouldn't surprise me if, because I mean, I am all expecting come autumn, winter for this to completely ramp up again. And I don't think we'll ever go back into full-on lockdowns or school closures, but I do expect there to be some restrictions on the way we live. And it wouldn't surprise me if the mask wearing thing became, you have to at some point again. It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, especially over the winter months when it seems to be rampant, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And I think, we're gonna see like a spike, you know, like in summer it'll probably like go down, and then in the winter it will start to rise again. But how do you guys feel about the whole thing? Have you heard about the kids who are faking COVID positive tests?
Yeah,
have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
And I was going to say, let's not talk about it online, but then I was like, well, it's all over TikTok, it's all over Instagram, so they're not going to hear it first from us. But
that did make me laugh when I saw that. They're putting a dye into it, aren't they? Into the lateral flow test or something.
I heard that it was like orange juice or lemon juice. Apparently, the acidity does something to the test and kind of like fakes a positive like result. But then you can scrub it with something like bleach, and then it will get rid of the positive and like reveal the negative underneath, something like that.
See, I mean, I can understand kids wanting to get out of school and everything. Like, you know, it's along the lines of faking being you sick or this, that, and the other. But the trouble with faking these COVID tests are, you test positive, that's you inside for 10 days.
Yeah.
So you can't miss school, but then you're going to miss, you can't go and see your mates, you can't go out at the weekend. There's all the other stuff you're going to miss. So it's not just as simple as missing a couple of days off school, is it?
I know, and obviously they've got to then also think about the fact that anyone who is in their bubble or come into contact with them also has to, you know, isolate. So I feel like some of these, you know, the schools that have had kind of issues of people going home, I do think like with this all over TikTok and all over Instagram, like how many of those are actually positives, you know, because then they have to have tests afterwards, don't they? Like if they
you have to go for the PCR,
yeah, so how many of those were, you know, actually...
I know, can you imagine?
I would have blagged it when I was a kid. Definitely would have done that.
Yeah, I would have done that.
I don't know if I would have. I'm not sure. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But
you don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, depends. No, probably. I don't know. But they're saying from September they're changing that whole school bubble thing, aren't they? Because it is a nightmare. So someone in the class bubble tests positive, and then everyone has to go and isolate. Now that is so disruptive to children's learning, to the school, to the parents. And I'm apparently, what's his name? Gavin. Who's the education minister?
Oh,
Gavin Williamson? No, Gavin.
Is it Gavin Barwell? I don't know.
No. Anyway, whatever his name is, the education minister is Gav. We'll just call him Gavlar.
Gav,
Williamson. You were right.
Well, it was. Yeah. Oh, check me. I'm so political these days. I even know the name of the ministers. Who am I? Yeah. So he's detailing today what the change in the schools are going to be from September, and I'm really, really welcoming that because, say, someone in the class goes down with COVID, even though your kids are testing negative on the lateral flow test, they've still got to isolate for 10 days. One of my friend's kids, it's his birthday this weekend, someone's gone down with COVID in his class, and now he's in isolation for 10 days. So missing out on his birthday party, missing out on all, and it's just so sad for the kids, you know?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, there's not really much that we can do with the fake tests. I suppose with the what Gav's saying, maybe he'll say like, oh, so you'll have to go home, but if you test negative the next day, then you can go back in, or like a few days later. I think
that's what he's saying. If someone in the bubble goes down, everyone doesn't have to go off then. They just have to test every day. And if anyone was to show any symptoms or obviously test positive, then they'd have to go out. But if you continue to test negative, you can carry on going to school. And I think that's a much better system.
That makes way more sense than stopping education for 10 days.
Yeah. These kids are like, they've missed so much schooling anyway. And, you know, there's so much still disruption to their learning. It's going to be such a long time before they're back fully where they should, if they ever get back. I don't know.
There are people that say they're never going to get back, so they're calling it like the lost generation because they're always going to be have missed out on that kind of level of not just education but socialization. So it's affected like kids that aren't even at school, like 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, because they're not 5-year-old, 4-year-olds at school, but like nursery age kids. Because they've not been able
to have that interaction.
Not interacting with other kids.
It's like Henry's supposed to be on his because so Henry's moving up to secondary in September, isn't he? So he's supposed to be on his what's the word called when you transfer day to NSB yesterday and today, but they've cancelled them all because the government guidelines is that children have to stay in their own primary little bubbles. So going up to NSB, there's 94, I think, different 94 different primary schools coming together. So they can't. So they've all had to be cancelled. So he's going to start school in September. He couldn't look round to choose if he wanted to go there because you weren't allowed. B, couldn't go for his transfer day.
So it's going to be super lost, super scared.
When he goes on that September, whatever it is, going to this huge secondary school, he's never even been inside it before. It's absolutely crazy. But, you know, it's the same. It's going to be similar for children going to primaries. They've never stepped foot inside that school before until September. There's so many different... I mean, I could talk all day about the different impacts that this has had on children and in various different ways, not just their education, but mentally, emotionally, everything. It's been really detrimental to everyone. But I think for the children especially.
As well, the children pick up a lot from their families, just from looking around. Like, they learn through looking at their parents, and the anxiety and fears and all that has been with adults is going to have they're going to have picked up on that too.
Well, it rubs off on them, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, definitely.
And even like the news, like I remember it was like maybe during the first lockdown, parents were saying that they were getting asked hard questions about death and stuff from their kids, because every day on the news they were saying X deaths is happening, you know. So it's like it's going to be very interesting to see how those children develop in the future, because it's not been typical for them, has it?
No,
but I think it will be. I think people will be a lot more like mindful of that, I guess, like, because everyone's gone through it. I suppose in a sense it's lucky because it has been the entire world that's had to go through this. So I don't think that there are many people who won't be able to understand like why, you know, kids haven't developed in the same way. So I think in a sense that's really good. But I do think it's going to be really difficult for those children to kind of try and catch up and try and get back into feeling safe, like social.
Well, isn't it like he said, like, was it £20 a person or something, or £20 a school or student or something? That's the amount of money they have put down for getting kids to catch up. Like 20, was it 20 quid a person or something? It was just rubbish, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the people going to university. Imagine Freshers Week during lockdown or during all these. What would you do?
Well, we did a whole tea and toast session on it, didn't we, a while ago, Georgia, with Pell and Khadija, because obviously it really did affect them with all their uni and whatnot. And there've been another set of people, our university students, who have really, really been forgotten about during this pandemic, really been affected. We'll never get that time back. It's crazy. I know everyone's been affected, but it's different ways for different people, different, you know, whatever you're sort of doing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think that life is ever going to really be the same 100%, because like how could it be? Like, you can't, it's like a shared experience that you can't go back from. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of differences, but then I hope that also we'll have, you know, the opportunity to kind of get back to some kind of semblance of normal, but like better than what normal was before.
I don't want to go back to normal, because it wasn't normal before, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
I think we're going to have a new normal.
We're going to have a new normal, whatever. But like, it's just a word, isn't it? It doesn't actually have any meaning to it. They're just they're gonna try and make it the same or more corrupt than it was before, in my opinion. So I am not. That's why I'm grey and overcast.
gloomy.
Yeah, with COVID, I suppose this is a topic that, as Jasmine says, we will come back to time and time again, because how can we not? But so thank you guys for joining me today.
Thank you.
You get the kettle on, Jazz, and get that tea ready.
Stick the kettle on. Yeah, waiting for people to come down. Got the biscuits at the ready.
Excellent.
So,
And
yeah.
we are doing this again.
Can I just quickly
go on,
say,
Jazz.
Georgia, tomorrow is our first Tea and Toast talking mental health down at the Yard, 62 Gold Street. So if you fancy coming down, if mental health is something that's affected you or anyone you know, or it's just something you're passionate about talking about, come on down. We've got a nurse from St Andrews coming down to have a chat with us. And it's just a great opportunity to, get those feelings out and talk in a safe place. I'll have the kettle on. I've got the biscuits ready. All you need to do is get down here for 10:30.
Excellent. And we're doing Tea and Toast online from
Yeah.
10:30 to 11 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Ooh,
so you're
all
going to have
on.
so many doses of me. You're going to be like, whoa, I can't cope with it.
I'll be jumping in and out.
In and out, yeah. So it'll be like a ninja, like Ninja Jasmine. She'll just like, way, I'm here today.
Maybe.
And Steve, are you doing any streaming this week?
Yeah. I should be playing a game after you're done. I'll probably play a game.
What game are you playing?
The Star Wars game, still the Old Republic, and then we're playing Mass Effect in the afternoons, but that's a bit more infrequent. So lunchtimes, basically, Star Wars. Afternoon times, Mass Effect.
Oh, good. It's all going on.
Yeah, it's all going on. And the Yard has, so there's like youth groups on Wednesdays, I think Thursdays and Fridays. I think the Wednesdays is a girls group, the Thursdays is a boys group, and the Friday is like a mixed group. So it's open to anyone to sort of like come in. And of course, you've got Sophia, the curator educator, who will be doing Crafternoon on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. So keep your eyes peeled on our Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, all the other stuff. And you'll be able to Instagram, and you'll be able to see our lovely faces soon. So yeah, stay safe, and we will all see you soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.